right, so today we're taking a deep dive into something every author wants to know. How to create Kindle book titles that actually, bring in the sales.
Right.
We're looking at Chapter 10 from How to Craft Irresistible Book Titles. It's by Dr. ID. And it focuses on using Amazon bestseller rankings
Interesting.
to figure out which keywords are going to work best for those titles.
So it's kind of like reverse engineering success, right? You're looking at what's already working and learning from it.
Exactly. It takes out the guesswork.
Right.
Now the chapter really focuses on this idea of checking those Amazon bestseller rankings to see if the keywords you're thinking of using are actually going to work.
I see.
Why is that so important?
Well, it comes down to two main reasons.
Okay.
The first one is you're trying to figure out, like, your potential for success.
Okay.
If you see books that are already using those keywords and they're ranking well,
Right.
meaning they have a low Amazon bestseller ranking,
Yeah.
or what we call ABSR,
Okay.
that's a good sign.
So it means people are actually searching for those terms.
Exactly, precisely.
Right.
A low ABSR means there's probably room for some new books to come in
Got it.
and also find success using those same keywords.
Okay.
The source specifically recommends looking for books with an ABSR below 300,000.
So below 300,000.
Yeah, but you want it to be as low as possible, right?
So not just below, but like
Right.
as competitive as possible within that.
Exactly.
What's the second reason for checking these rankings?
Well, the second reason is
Yeah.
you want to see how much money you could potentially make.
Right.
So you look at how much those top ranking books are making every month, and then that gives you a good idea
Okay.
of what you could potentially earn.
It's all about the bottom line.
Exactly. It's not just about ranking high.
Right.
You got to convert that visibility into, actual sales.
Yeah, actual sales.
Right.
Now, Chapter 10 uses a real example to show us how this works. They analyze the keyword devotional for teen girls' depression.
Wow, that's pretty
Yeah.
specific.
Very niche.
Yeah.
What did they find?
Well, they look at 4 books that were using this keyword phrase.
Okay.
The first one was called Live on Purpose, 100 Devotions for Letting Go of Fear and Following God.
Okay.
And it had an ABSR of 1,890.
Wow.
And it was making an estimated 21,455 every month.
That's amazing.
It's pretty impressive, right?
It really shows the power of finding
Yeah.
that specific audience.
Absolutely.
What about the other books they looked at?
The second book was called Brave, A Teen Girl's Guide to Beating Worry and Anxiety.
Okay.
It had an ABSR of 6,007, and estimated monthly sales were $5,645.
Still pretty good.
Yeah, not bad at all.
So it seems like even though the titles are worded a little differently, they're all doing pretty well.
They are, yeah.
What about those last 2 books?
So the third book was called Battlefield of the Mind for Teens, Winning the Battle in Your Mind.
Okay.
ABSR of 10,084, and estimated monthly sales of $3,993.
Got it.
And then the final one was Conquer Anxiety Workbook for Teens. Find peace from worry, panic, fear, and phobias.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
That's a long one.
Yeah.
11,101 for the ABSR, and about $3,782 in estimated monthly sales.
Okay, so all 4 books were well below that 300,000 benchmark.
Yeah.
What does that tell us about the keyword devotional for teen girls' depression?
Well, it tells us that it's probably a good keyword to use if you're writing in this niche.
Okay.
The data shows us that there's a big audience out there who are searching for and buying books on this topic.
So how can listeners use this information when they're brainstorming their own titles? It's not like everybody's writing teen girl devotion.
Of course not, but
Yeah.
the great thing about this strategy is that you can use it for any keyword.
Okay.
It's not about the specific example, it's about the process.
Right.
You can use this method to see how well any keyword phrase is performing.
So it's all about using data to make good decisions about your title.
Exactly.
So let's say you've done all this research, you've looked at the Amazon rankings,
Yeah.
you've found a keyword that looks promising.
Mm-hmm.
Is that all you need to create a really great title?
Well, not quite.
Okay.
Keywords are super important, for sure,
Yeah.
but they're just one piece of the puzzle.
Okay.
You also need to think about how clear your title is.
Right, because just a bunch of keywords might not be that exciting to see.
Yeah, it's got to grab attention.
Right.
It's got to be easy to understand.
Right.
And it's got to actually reflect what your book is about.
You have to find that balance then between the data
You got to find that sweet spot
and being creative.
between data and creativity. Yeah.
What else should authors be thinking about when it comes to creating their titles?
Well, a strong subtitle can make a huge difference.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It lets you add more context
Okay.
and make your book even more appealing to potential readers.
So it's like saying, hey, this book is perfect for you.
Exactly.
Without actually saying that.
Right, exactly.
Now, the source is all about creating titles for Kindle books.
Hmm.
But these ideas apply to traditional publishing as well, don't they?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
A great title is important no matter where your book is sold.
Right, whether it's online
Mike.
or in an actual bookstore.
Doesn't matter. You got to have a good title.
What are some of the things that make a title really irresistible to readers?
Well, you have to think about it from their perspective.
Okay.
What makes you stop and look when you're browsing for books?
For me, it's usually something that makes me feel something.
Okay.
Or a title that sounds mysterious, something that makes me curious.
Oh, I see. Like something that makes you want to know more.
Yeah.
You got to create that intrigue, that sense of, I have to read this to find out what happens.
Right.
Titles that promise an emotional journey or a captivating mystery can be really powerful.
Yeah, I can see that.
But it's also important to make sure your title matches the genre and tone of your book.
Right. You don't want to mislead people.
Exactly. You got to set the right expectations from the beginning.
So we've talked about keywords, having a clear and concise title, and the role of a subtitle.
Mm-hmm.
What else should authors be thinking about?
Well, don't forget about the cover art.
Oh, right, the cover.
Yeah, because a captivating cover can really be what makes someone choose your book.
Right, it's like a first impression.
Exactly. It needs to draw them in.
And what about that little blurb, the book description?
Oh, yeah. The book description is super important, too.
It's like your chance to really sell the book.
Yeah, it's like that little summary on the back cover that makes you want to pick up a book in a bookstore.
Right, like a little elevator pitch.
Exactly. You got to grab their attention and make them want to read more.
And don't forget about reviews from other readers.
Oh, those are huge, yeah.
They can really influence whether or not someone buys your book.
Absolutely, because seeing positive feedback from other people makes your book seem more credible and trustworthy.
This is like a little vote of confidence.
Exactly. Social proof is powerful.
So it seems like there are a lot of different elements
There are.
that work together to make a book successful.
Like a whole ecosystem.
What's the biggest takeaway you want our listeners to leave with today?
I think the most important thing is to remember that making decisions based on data is key.
Okay.
But data alone isn't enough.
Got it.
You also need to be creative, you need to be clear, and you need to understand what makes a title truly irresistible to readers.
So it's about blending art and science.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
It's about finding that perfect balance.
Well said.
Thank you.
Now imagine you're an author. You've poured your heart and soul into writing this book. You've done your keyword research.
Yeah.
You've crafted a title that's clear, concise, and compelling.
Okay.
And you've even got a great cover.
Mm-hmm.
What's one crucial step you should take before hitting that publish button?
Oh, that's a good question.
What would you say?
I'd say get some feedback from beta readers.
Oh, right, beta readers.
Yeah, because getting fresh eyes on your work could be
Right.
really valuable.
Like a test audience before the book actually goes out.
Yeah, their feedback can help you make your book even better before it reaches a wider audience.
Okay, so it's all about continuous improvement.
It is.
Even after you think you're done.
Exactly.
Now, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to go back to those Amazon bestseller rankings for a minute.
Okay, what about them?
We've talked about how authors can use them to research keywords,
Yeah.
then figure out how successful their book might be before they publish it.
Right.
But what about after the book is out there? How can authors use those rankings to see how they're doing?
That's a great question. Monitoring your Amazon bestseller ranking after you publish is so important.
So it's not just a one-time thing?
No, not at all.
You gotta keep checking.
You got to keep an eye on those numbers because your ranking can change based on a lot of different things.
Like what?
Like, what time of year it is, what your competition is doing, even your own marketing efforts.
Oh, okay.
By tracking your ranking over time, you can start to see patterns
Got it.
and then make smarter decisions about your marketing.
So you have to be flexible and adjust to the market.
Exactly.
Now, let's say you see that your book's ranking is starting to drop. What are some things you can do to give it a boost?
Well, you might want to look back at your keywords.
Got it.
Maybe there's some new terms that are becoming popular
Oh, I see.
that you could add to your title or subtitle.
So keyword optimization is something you have to keep doing.
It's an ongoing process, yeah.
Okay.
You can also try things like changing your price,
Okay.
running promotions, and talking to your readers on social media.
So it's about staying active and finding ways to keep your book visible.
Exactly. because the world of book publishing is always changing.
Right.
And the authors who are willing to adapt and try new things are usually the ones who succeed.
It's like a marathon, not a sprint.
I love that analogy.
And just like a marathon runner needs to stay hydrated and keep their energy up,
Yeah.
authors need to keep putting in effort to
Okay.
reach the finish line.
Well said.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground here today.
You have.
But we'll continue our exploration in part 2 of our deep dive.
That's good.
We'll explore even more strategies for creating those compelling titles that grab readers' attention and lead to more sales.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Welcome back. So in that last part, we were talking about making decisions based on data when you're crafting a book title. But data alone isn't enough.
Right.
You need that creativity, that clarity, and you really have to get what makes a title jump out at readers.
It's that mix of the art and science of it all.
Exactly. And one of the key things we talked about, subtitles.
Oh yeah, subtitles, they can make a big difference.
They can really make or break a title, actually. Subtitles give that extra bit of context, and they really hook the reader.
It's like, okay, the title's the hook, and then the subtitle reels them in.
Exactly.
Now, before we move on, I wanted to touch on something else we discussed, that psychology behind what makes a title stand out.
Oh, yeah. That's really important. You got to tap into those psychological triggers that make someone stop and look.
Like literally, when you're browsing for books online or in a store.
Yeah. What makes you stop? What makes you want to pick up that book?
I think for me, it's titles that make me feel something, or titles that make me think there's some mystery involved, something that sparks my curiosity.
Yeah, like you got to know more.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all about creating that intrigue.
Right.
Okay, so let's say you've done your keyword research.
Okay.
You've got a clear and concise title. You've got a strong subtitle. You've even got an amazing cover.
Okay, I'm with you.
What comes next in the whole process of creating a book that actually sells?
Well, remember when we talked about those reviews from other readers?
Oh, yeah.
Those are super important, but you don't just have to wait until after your book is published.
Oh, right.
You can actually get feedback from beta readers before you even hit publish.
So it's like a sneak peek for a select group.
Exactly.
And they can give you some valuable input.
They can tell you what they think about your story, your writing style.
Yeah.
Even your title, actually.
Yeah.
And they can point out parts that are confusing or that maybe need a little more work.
So it's like having a test audience before you go live to the world.
It is. And don't underestimate those early reviews.
Right.
Getting good feedback from your beta readers can really create some buzz.
Yeah, get people excited.
Yeah, exactly. Get people excited for your book launch.
So how do authors actually find beta readers? Is it as simple as asking friends and family?
Well, you could ask friends and family, but it's also good to get opinions from people who don't know you personally.
Right. Because you need that honest feedback.
Exactly, not just praise.
Yeah.
You want constructive criticism.
Right.
Luckily, there are a lot of online platforms and communities that connect authors with beta readers.
Oh, cool.
You can also reach out to book bloggers or reviewers in your genre.
So lots of options.
Lots of options, yeah.
Okay. Now I want to talk about another really important element.
Okay.
The book description.
Oh yeah, the book description. That's your chance to really sell your book.
It is. It's like the online version of that blurb on the back cover that makes you pick up a book.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In the store.
It's like your elevator pitch.
Right.
You got to grab their attention and make them want to read more.
So what makes a good book description then?
A good book description should highlight the main parts of your story,
Okay.
introduce your main characters,
Okay.
and it should kind of hint at the central conflict or the mystery.
Ooh. Create that little bit of suspense. Yeah. Make them wonder what's going to happen.
And don't forget about keywords.
Oh, right. Keywords are important here too.
Yeah.
You want to use words that potential readers might be searching for.
So that people can actually find your book.
Exactly. You want your book to show up in those search results on Amazon.
Right.
But don't just stuff keywords in there.
Okay.
It still needs to sound natural and
No.
be engaging.
So again, it's all about finding that balance
Exactly.
between the data and the creative storytelling.
Right. That sweet spot.
Okay, now let's talk about cover art.
Yeah, the cover.
It's true what they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words.
It is. A good cover can really be what makes someone choose your book over another.
Right, it's like that first impression.
Exactly. It needs to grab their attention.
So what makes a good book cover then?
Well, it depends on the genre and who you're writing for.
Okay.
But there are some general things that are always true.
Okay.
Your cover should be visually appealing.
Okay.
It should be professionally designed,
Okay.
and it should actually be relevant to your story.
Right, you don't want to mislead people with a cover that doesn't match the book.
No, you want it to reflect the genre and the tone of your story accurately.
It's also worth investing in professional cover design.
Oh, absolutely.
It can make a big difference.
It can, because it really shows that you take your book seriously.
Okay, so we've talked about keywords,
Yeah.
titles, subtitles, book descriptions, and cover art.
A lot of stuff.
Is there anything else authors should keep in mind when it comes to creating a book that sells?
You know, it's important to remember that creating a successful book is not a one-time thing.
Oh, right, it's a process.
It's a journey.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop when you hit publish.
Oh.
Marketing and promotion are really important too.
Right, getting your book out there
Exactly.
for people to see.
You got to get it in front of readers.
So, like, what are some of the things authors can do?
Well, we'll talk more about that in the next part.
Okay.
But think about things like using social media, building an email list, connecting with book bloggers and reviewers, and even looking into advertising.
Sounds like a lot.
It can be, but the important thing is to find what works best for you and your book.
Right, there's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Exactly.
So just be proactive, be creative, and just keep at it.
Yeah, and most importantly, enjoy the process.
Right.
Writing and publishing a book is a huge accomplishment.
It is.
So celebrate your wins and learn from your mistakes.
Well said.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to wrap up part 2 here, but we'll pick up our conversation in the final part.
Sounds good.
We'll go even deeper into book marketing strategies and give you some final thoughts on creating a book that really connects with readers.
I'm looking forward to it.
Welcome back to our deep dive. It's amazing how much goes into creating a successful book, you know?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, we've talked about keywords, titles, subtitles, descriptions, cover art, even getting feedback from those beta readers.
It's a lot,
It is.
but I guess it all comes back to connecting with those readers.
That's it. That's the heart of it. At the end of the day, you want your book to grab them, make them think, and keep them turning those pages.
And that's where the magic of storytelling comes in, right?
Exactly. We've talked a lot about data and using data to make decisions, and that's really important.
Yeah.
But you also need to make sure your book has heart, that it connects with people on an emotional level.
It's that balance between like strategy and soul.
I love that, strategy and soul, because you can have the best marketing plan in the world, but if your book doesn't have that heart, it's not going to really connect with people.
So how do authors find that balance? How do they make sure their book is both marketable and meaningful?
Well, I think it starts with writing about something you're really passionate about, something you believe in, so you just have to tell.
Oh, I like that.
When you're passionate about your work, it shows, and readers can feel that. It's contagious.
It's that spark, right?
Yeah, that spark that makes people want to keep reading.
But passion alone isn't enough, is it?
No, it's not. You also need to understand the market, know what readers are looking for.
So that's where all the strategies come in, right?
Exactly. Your keyword research, knowing your audience, having a great title and subtitle, an eye-catching cover, a description that hooks people in, it all works together to make your book stand out.
It's like a whole orchestra of marketing and creativity.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought.
Okay, what's that?
Don't be afraid to experiment, to try new things. The world of books is always changing, so be flexible, be creative, and most importantly, be yourself.
Such good advice. Authenticity is what really matters.
It is.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into creating Kindle book titles that sell.
It's been my pleasure.
And to all you authors out there, keep writing, keep learning, and keep dreaming. Your book is out there waiting to be discovered. Thanks for listening.